Hello everyone, this is SoCalQuest with BlueFirePoker.com. So far I've been making videos of me playing mostly and talking about general strategies on how to beat the various limits or talking about hands that come up that are pretty interesting. Today I will be using a hand replayer to talk about hand reading. I know many of you have probably seen, the live poker players playing tournaments on TV, such as Daniel Negreanu, and they're just, dead on with reading their opponent's hand. I probably won't be able to do that or help you guys do that. I mean, it'll take some time to do that, but I will be able to help you put your opponents on a range of hands based on the actions they've taken and their previous tendencies. By doing that, we'll be able to gauge what our action should be based on our own hand against their range of hands. This is the first hand I'd like to talk about. I've only played a few hands at the table and I've won $22 so far, but I don't recognize any of these names. I don't think they're regulars, so not only do I not have reads on them, they don't have reads on me, I suspect. I'll talk about the hand and the actions of the players as we go. So, first position player want to win million. He raises to 350. Like I said, I don't have any reads on this player, but I can make a few assumptions. Since he has bought in for less than the maximum, which would be $100, and more than the minimum 20, or maybe he bought in for 100 and he hasn't auto topped off. That's typically the sign of a pretty weak player. I mean, it's not necessarily true all the time, but from my experiences, that's what I found. Well, he opens in first position, and for most players opening in this position, their hand range is going to be a little bit tighter. Usually any pair, a lot of Broadway cards. Depending on if they are positionally aware, they should be opening a smaller number of hands from this position than, let's say, the button. Okay, so KBZ folds, EROM folds, and this is just pretty much a standard call. Like I said, his hand range should be pretty tight. 8-8 won't play as well in a 3-bet pot when his hand range is already tight, so I think it's just, an easy call. And Palaki folds. So we see a flop of King Deuce Tray with a flush draw on board. This is a decent flop for my hand. He has kings in his range. He has Ace King, King Queen, King Jack, maybe King 10 suited would open from that position. So he definitely could have hit the king. He could have missed it as well. He could have any set too as well. So my hand plays decently against a lot of the hands he's c-betting here. So if he has Ace Queen, Ace Jack, or Queen Jack, or if he's c-betting pocket fours, five, six, sevens, I'm doing okay against a lot of the range that missed. So I decided to check and intend on calling a c-bet from this player. He goes ahead and checks behind. So what does that tell me? Well, I don't think he'd be checking a king on this board. It just wouldn't make sense. Normally players c-bet, any king in the range, and I don't suspect he has a flush draw. I also think he would be continuation betting that hand as well. Hands that some players do check back with a king in them are weak kings, like King 5, King 6, King 7, kind of turning him into bluff catchers, but I don't think he'd be opening those hands from that position, although, like I said, I don't have any specific reads, so I'm not entirely sure if he wouldn't. So, while he may occasionally have a king or flush draw, I can, for the most part, discount a lot of the hands with kings or flush draws from his range. What he might be doing this with, it depends on the quality of player he is. So some players on this type of board will go ahead and just start giving up with their air. So if they raised 9-10 suited and they missed on this board, they're just going to check it back and then check down and lose, usually. A good player will check back hands that have some showdown value on this board. So if he has ace queen, some players do check that hand down. If he has queens, jacks, tens, nines, they don't always bet those hands as well. Occasionally the king comes, they might want to pot control a little bit. So he does have some hands that beat me, and some hands that have six outs against me. When the three comes, I elect to bet because I want to protect my hand. I think most likely my hand is good in this spot. He he could have hands like I said, nines through queens. Although I think he bets those a decent percentage as well. But I mean, he could have ace queen, jack ten, jack nine suited if he has that ace ten. So a ton of hands that have six outs against me. So I do bet in order to protect my hand a little bit.